Hello indie game fans, I have more releases and updates for you in this video with a number of interesting action titles, each of which having their own unique twist. All this and more coming up in this video. Let's begin with Thy Creature, a grimdark bullet hell action-adventure title that tells a similarly grim story. You play as a creature relentlessly pursued by the humans, having to flee into a mysterious tower and to ascend it in order to get a wish granted. The tower is filled with all sorts of creepy monsters which attack in bullet hell patterns, but there are puzzles and NPCs within the tower as well. It does come to us from a Korean developer who did make a number of visual novel games, so it's interesting to see them try something else. I'm a little bit late on this one since Forgive Me Father Endless Love was a Valentine's Day themed update for this eldritch horror first-person shooter that does actually have nothing to do with Valentine's Day at all, but was released on that date. It was a regular update that added 2 new levels to the story campaign, where the main highlight is an endless mode that sees you taking out waves of enemies, being its own standalone thing that turns it into something like Devil Daggers. This fantastic looking title continues to impress in early access, making this one for fans of the genre. We have an international flavour to this video with a range of developers from all over the world, where Dusk Diver 2 comes to us from a Taiwanese developer and is worth a look if you enjoy third-person action games. This series got my attention since it is set in a version of Ximending, which is a popular tourist destination in Taiwan, where I did enjoy seeing familiar but transformed landmarks in the game, with the sequel being the same as well. It is a very anime-style story of a college student getting powers to defeat mysterious monsters that have appeared, where it looks like a decent game but is a little pricey. An underrated title from last year is Black Book, a turn-based RPG that taps on Slavic mythology, where the developers just released the Endless Battles paid DLC. The original was more of a linear JRPG, but this DLC changes the structure into a roguelite, where there is more of a focus on the deck building aspect, so if you enjoyed the original and wanted more, this is the DLC to get. A charming city builder title that is beginning to grow on me is Kainga Seeds of Civilization, one with a very interesting art style, and is set in a mysterious primitive fantasy world, releasing the Trade and Travel update in early access. As expected, this adds a trade and relationship system between you and the AI villagers, a new map to travel to, new creatures to tame, and a whole bunch of other stuff that adds to this title, but if you love city builders, do check this out. While I don't usually sit down with grand strategy titles, the look of Kingdom's Life did impress me, looking like Risk in some way, but does appear to be much more complex. It does use simple but effective pixel art, where the upgrades, tech tree, construction, and combat elements look interesting, and the strategizing and simulation parts of this should be equally impressive as well. It has gone a little under the radar, so if you love your strategy games, please look into this. There are a whole bunch of golf games on the market right now, but one of interest is MiniGolf Maker, one that allows you to build custom courses and then to play them as well. In a vein similar to Mario Maker, if a sufficiently large community gathers around this game and starts building and sharing courses, I can see this really taking off, where the overall look and polish of this game looks great as well. This trailer for Chevalier History is a little long-winded in that there is plenty of text and story setup, but based on the glimpses of action in this trailer, does look to be a title of interest. You play as a knight and have to rescue a captured princess, adventuring and battling enemies in this real-time action-adventure RPG. It does also have multiple endings depending on your actions, and with a New Game Plus mode, does also have some amount of replayability. A very interesting title that kind of came out of nowhere and I'm not sure is even indie is Tiny Combat Arena, a combat flight sim that has you soaring through the skies, engaging in dogfights and dropping bombs on enemy bases. This comes to us from a prolific modder in the Battlefield scene in conjunction with the shambling corps of Microprose Software, which was a studio founded in 1982, shut down in 2003, and the name sold to another company and revived in 2019. But the game itself seems great, making it one to watch in early access.
Kill the crow!
The original Dev's Gambit did make my list of best looking pixel art titles, and they did release a huge revamp recently in Afterlife, and have now put out the Ashes of Vador's paid DLC. This serves as an epilogue to the main story with new boss fights, a new platforming challenge area, combat arenas and new game modes like boss rush and randomizers, making it perfect to close off a great game, taking the #1 spot. For more Souls-like titles, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.